I've been listening to the Shattered Veil Easter egg song Falling to Pieces non-stop on loop since that map's come out. I think I have a problem. But today we're not here to play zombies, at least for this one video. I decided that, I mentioned in the last video that since this update came out with season 3 introducing all this other stuff, the new zombies map weapons, obviously the introduction of Verdansk is probably the biggest thing about this update that has come out, and I decided to try it. Even though I'm not somebody who's particularly a huge Warzone or just Battle Royale person in general, I have seen a lot of positive things about this update and the things that they've changed and whatnot. So this is also the first time technically that I've played on Verdansk, because I remember a really long time ago I did try playing Warzone a really long time ago when Verdansk was still a thing, and that was back when I had like a really shitty PC and I couldn't run the game basically. So yeah, I did play a few warm-up games before this just to sort of get my bearings. Not that I'm expecting anything out of my performance on this, it's just more so just to chat shit and look at the map and everything. But yeah, in terms of my performance for this video, I promise nothing and I guarantee even less. But yeah, I have a few classes here set up, none of them particularly, I don't think, set up correctly, quote unquote. And I have the AK here, which is apparently super busted. It just kills super fast. And I have it set up like an SMG just because I think it looks cool. Not that it's particularly optimal or whatever, but yeah, I also have a C9 with a Car 98 set up here. And I actually have the Borealis camo from Modern Warfare 3 equipped onto it. And I don't know why. For some reason, the camos from Modern Warfare 3 don't look nearly as good as like Dark Matter and Nebula do. Like, look at Dark Matter. It's so vibrant compared to even Borealis, especially in-game. It doesn't look nearly as good, but I still like it. So, but yeah, like I said, I promise nothing in terms of my performance. So if I die, then that'll be it. This will just be a spectating video basically. But yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Editing 3 hours of footage for that zombies video that I made the other day, that took a lot out of me, so that's why I haven't uploaded in a while. But lo and behold, here we are. There's an event going on for this whole re-release. You have to find a bunch of safes and you get stuff the more saves that you find, and apparently there's a skin that you can get from just opening any safe at any point. And I don't know if they patched this already or not, but I remember when it came out that there was like a 1 in 1,000 chance to actually get the operator skin, which I thought was very funny. But yeah, I don't have the AMAX or the HDR unlocked yet, so I can't use those. But I don't know why the game is unequipping my camos on my like Modern Warfare 3 guns for some reason. It's very annoying. There we go. I have no general game plan or even like semblance of an idea of what I'm going to be trying to do in this video. I guess I'm just gonna drop and try to do contracts and kill people if I see them. I remember wanting to play Warzone in the first place just because I wanted to play a game that had like a military aesthetic. Where do I want to drop? I'm not gonna drop Superstore. That sounds like a death sentence. But yeah, I remember years ago I had like this itch to play games that like had a realistic like military aesthetic, because for a long time the only FPS that I really played a lot was Destiny 2, and that's obviously like a sci-fi aesthetic, and it had been a really long time since I played like a Call of Duty or a military shooter just in general. So yeah, I didn't want to like jump in and immediately just buy Call of Duty.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
I'm taking fire!
That was scary. All right, well, as much as I would love to chase that person down and murder them with a handgun, I'm gonna not do that. But yeah, I remember the aesthetic of this map in particular was something that really drew me to wanting to try this game in the first place many years ago. I don't know, for some reason I just really find like Eastern European environments super cool in like a military shooter. I guess, kind of like Stalker or Tarkov and whatever. And also we're gonna ignore what happened in that gunfight there. You thought my performance in general in BRs would be bad? Oh man, just wait until I start recording and I have to split my attention between speaking and actually playing the video game. This is the second time I've gotten into a gulag with only a pistol. Can I please, game, I beg? I thought he killed me for a second there. I was about to scream. But yeah, not that anybody asked about my whole spiel about why I played Warzone in the first place, but yeah, I know that they did slow the game down quite a bit in very specific ways, and not in like the Warzone 2, Modern Warfare 2 ways where the game was unfun to play. They're more so cut back on all the things that made this game less of a BR and more of just a giant respawn shooter. Where's the contract? Oh, there it is. Oh, an HDR. So like the redeploy drones and the redeployed balloons are all gone. Vehicles are a lot more important. Damn. That was lucky. Oh, I headshot that guy too. I thought I was gonna say I got lucky. He had no plates, but I headshot him, so it killed him instantly. And yeah, they also added one-shot snipers back to the game with the HDR only, which kind of sucks because I mean I don't see why the other snipers also can't be one-shots. But I mean whatever. But yeah, the game is basically not just constantly go 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 go, find redeploy balloons and fly onto other people across the map and just murder them instantly. I have 10 grand. I should buy my loadout. I should buy a UAV actually, but I'm gonna buy my loadout because I'm greedy. Playing this game is 100% just totally antithetical to like the type of games that I do play and enjoy making videos on because I have to like actually pay attention. Let's pick this one. Do I keep the HDR? Do I keep my Car 98? I'll keep my Car 98 even though the HDR is just objectively better in like every single way. Do I have enough to buy a UAV? I don't. I think it's 6 grand for a UAV. Is there... Oh no, I'm being tracked. I'm sure this will end well, not in my imminent demise. But yeah, there are people being like, oh, they slowed down the game when they did Warzone 2 and MW2. And then they slowed down the game again when they did this VERDANSK reintroduction. And people are like, oh, why are people liking this and not the other one? It's like, it's more so the way that they did these changes and what they changed specifically that makes one good and one bad.
You've got a loadout drop.
Well, that didn't go the way that I wanted to. I'm fucking trying to speak. It's very difficult, especially in a game like this where you actually have to pay attention. But yeah, I got the sniper commendation because I killed one person with a sniper rifle. You love to see it. All right, we immediately spectate and this guy gets a kill with the HDR. You love to see it. Oh, wow, he got. Holy shit. No, what did he kill him with? Was it another sniper rifle? Kind of curious to see what it was. It is a Car 98. Okay, so the Car 98 seems really viable just because it's really fast. And apparently, I think it has like no idle sway at all. They buffed it when this update came out, I believe. Oh, unlucky. But yeah, it can't one-shot to the head, I believe, but it is very, very fast and snappy. I really like how it feels in this game. But yeah, this update and basically what Warzone has been doing for the past few years has seemingly been undoing every single incremental change that they've added that made the game seemingly not as fun to play as it was when it originally came out. Remember when there were juggernauts and AI in Warzone? Yeah, that was fun. You know, fight a juggernaut to escape the gulag, and there was a 2v2 gulag. Yeah, I remember that. That was fun. Yeah. But yeah, speaking of just me and Call of Duty in general, I was doing the zombies grind, you know, continuing that in my off time, and I did the shotguns, and for some reason I had this idea that the slugs would be better just because it allow you to actually hit headshots more consistently because it's a single bullet rather than just a giant spread of pellets that are random even if you ADS. But if for some reason on the Marine SP the slugs were like really bad, and maybe I just didn't give them a chance because I used the Maelstrom for the next shotgun and I put slugs on that, and yeah, it was still kind of not great, but once I pack punched it like tier 2 and upgraded the rarity a little bit, it was like pretty decent. And it was just you know, after max upgrading it was just as viable as any other gun max upgraded, you know, up until like the late 30s. It's kind of crazy how fast guns fall off in zombies, but maybe that's just how it's always been. But yeah, with this map coming back, I'll be surprised if they ever decide to remove this ever again, because I don't think they will. But as I remember, there was rumors going around that there was supposed to be like a Avalon Warzone map when Black Ops 6 came out, because, you know, obviously the location is significant to Black Ops 6 and its story and whatever. But yeah, there are rumors that that obviously is no longer happening and that it might be used for a Outbreak map in the next Black Ops game, which is coming out next year. Or this year, I should say. Which on one hand, it kind of sucks that Warzone had to get stuck using Urzikstan, which I don't even hate that map. I think it was just more so the gameplay systems that were, in addition to the map itself not being super just memorable or whatever, was like, yeah, I feel like people were excited for a potential new Warzone map to come to the game at the launch of Black Ops 6, but they had to get stuck with Urzikstan for at least, what, half a year, 4 months, whatever it's been. But I'll be interested to see if that Outbreak 2.0 Avalon map is actually a thing, because I know with this game they were like, we're focusing all of our zombies efforts into purely round based maps, and obviously they haven't said anything about Black Ops 7 or the next game, whatever it is, at all. But I'll be curious if they make that guarantee again or whether they'll admit that, because they might be doing something with Outbreak again. I didn't play Cold War, so I didn't play Outbreak, so I don't really have an opinion on it, but from what I remember, I do know that some of the Cold War maps were like reused assets from the campaign, which is kind of lame. But so, you know, maybe if Outbreak didn't exist and they were solely focused on round based like they were for this game, maybe they would have had more unique and, you know, fully idealized maps and whatever. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how the next game with Warzone and zombies is gonna turn out, if it's, you know, the Black Ops 2 sequel rumors are true. Yeah, I know in this map, the stadium and the train station are not opened up yet. So I think they're gonna eventually do that, you know, in like events and updates like, you know, they did back in the day. You know, one thing that I always like thought about like Warzone or like even extraction shooters and other things like that, whatever, would be like, I know extraction shooters do this, but I kind of wish Warzone did this where it cycled through different times of the day. Now, whether that would be like dynamically or just like dependent on like randomly, it would load in a different time of day depending on the match that you're in. I think it would be interesting. Obviously, you know, for things like if they had like a nighttime version of Verdansk, I think that would be really cool, but there's already like, wow, the guy's just sitting in the corner. That's insane. That's wild. I know people have already been complaining about the Terminator skin not being super easy to see, and I think they're fixing that. I don't know whether it's enough of a fix to alleviate the visibility issue on that, but just, you know, mentioning that to say, you know, I think it would be cool if they had different times of day on the Warzone map. You know, just looking back at like older Call of Duty stuff, I was watching a video of somebody doing the Black Ops 4 Easter eggs, and just like the variation in like the times of day that those maps take place on is really, really, really cool. So Dead of the Night obviously it takes place, you know, during the night, and it looks really nice. And then Tag the Toten is like the other example that I remember very vividly. It takes place during like sunset, and everything is like super beautiful looking, and it's like nice and orange. Yeah, I think the original Verdansk was very like green and brown, and this is obviously not as green and brown. It's a lot like brighter, but it's not super colorful still. And I think, you know, adding little punches of color, you know, via time of day would be really cool. At this point I'm just rambling about shit that nobody fucking cares about. But yeah, even like I don't play Warzone a lot. In fact, the last video that I made on Warzone was the last time that I played it, and yeah, that was a very long time ago. That was like back in the Modern Warfare 3 day. But yeah, even like looking at this and then remembering that video, you know, obviously I watch people play the game a lot, but I don't like play it a lot myself. But it's so obvious and apparent that there's a lot more downtime in this new version of the game than there has been in the past few years, where they were constantly adding ways to zip around the map and get everywhere and redeploy constantly. But yeah, going back to zombies really quick, there's been a bunch of cool custom maps that have come out recently that I really want to play on Black Ops 3. There's been progress on some of the transit reimagining maps by Burkov, I think the person's name is. So I believe there's somebody doing just like a 1-to-1 straight remake that is just 100% faithful, and then there's somebody doing a like reimagining of the maps with like, you know, the environments are different and modified and things like that. And I believe there's the bus depot and the tunnel survival maps of that bigger transit map out right now, and I really want to play those. He's getting into a gunfight here. Is he gonna pull through here? He has the disadvantage with the low ground here, but he is rotating around, and I don't know if the guy actually knows where he is at this point. He's lost him for so long already. Wow, this AK is so good. He missed so many of those shots and he still won that gunfight. That's crazy. Ah, yes, the baby monitor. I don't know if there's ever been a more like degrading like shit talk method of like, oh, people who use this annoying piece of equipment in this video game than calling the heartbeat sensor a baby monitor. I think that shit is hilarious. But there's currently 10 people left. He has 8 kills. Yeah, I'm very much not used to playing battle royales in general, let alone ones that have this high of a TTK, or this low of a TTK, I should say. Because yeah, obviously my only other experience with BRs is like Fortnite and Apex, and those have way higher TTKs than this does. But yeah, switching gears completely before this game ends and the video ends, I want to talk about a cool mod for Devil May Cry 3 that is coming out, I believe, on the 23rd of this month. And it's a mod called Devil May Cry 3 Crimson. And basically, it's just a complete overhaul mod of the like game systems. It adds a whole bunch of like advanced mechanics like inertia and guard flying and crazy shit like that from like DMC4. And it also adds like just really cool things like, you know, style switching and the weapon wheels from, you know, the later games. Also, like the Switch version has. That was for some reason never added. What exploded? Okay, anyways. But yeah, it adds a whole bunch of features from the later games and the Switch edition that for some reason those features were never added to the HD collection on any of the other consoles or PC, but whatever. And yeah, with the DMC anime, this thing that I've mentioned a few times on this channel, I was really excited for that to come out, and I was, you know, just a huge Devil May Cry fan. I've played all the games except for 2 and the reboot, but I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, the anime is definitely, you know, after it came out and I let it sit for a few days and, you know, saw what people were saying about it. I don't think I'm going to be watching it, just to put that out there. You know, again, it's one thing to have it be, you know, an alternate retelling, you know, not canon to the main game timelines and whatever, but like, even so, the things that they do with some of the characters, in fact, most of the characters, is very yeah, again, it is an alternate reality, but even so, it's like, I'm not really sure why, like, the characters are so drastically different from what they act like in the games that they appear in. It's like, why is this called Devil May Cry at all? Now, granted, I do think there are certain complaints that people have about the show that are like overblown, people just being like overly nitpicky, but I do feel like a lot of it is valid criticism, regardless of whether it's an AU or not. You know, things like the overall story and the character writing and the music choices are very, very odd. Oh, finally, he goes down. That guy had 2 kills, by the way. I just want to point that out. All right, slightly better. This guy's 5 kills, and there's 4 players left. Guy driving around in a vehicle outside. It's crazy how much of like almost a non-factor vehicles were up until recently in Warzone with this update. But yeah, you know, again, it's not, if you watch the DMC anime and you enjoyed it, you know, that's fine, you know, and if you disliked the anime, that's also fine. I'm personally somebody who would probably disliked it just because I like the original games and stories and characters so much, but, you know, on one hand, don't like fucking, oh wow, that was the final fight. That's crazy. Nah, using the PP. I just realized there's 2 guns called the PP in this game now. But yeah, on one hand, it's not, even if you dislike the show, don't fucking like harass people and like be overtly negative to people who did like it. But on the other hand, people who did like it, you know, there are valid criticisms of the show, and I think overall, in my opinion, that the show is not super good. But before I go, let me just finish my thoughts up on that really quick. You know, again, whatever your opinions on the DMC show or whatever, you can like it or dislike it. I personally don't like it, but there's this weird revisionism going on where people are like looking back at other DMC media and being like, oh, we were too harsh on this, or oh, this wasn't nearly as bad. Like, there are unironically people saying that DMC Devil May Cry and DMC 2 were not as bad and were treated too harshly, and I very strongly disagree with that. Like, okay, DMC Devil May Cry, its gameplay was pretty cool, and it was, you know, stylish and probably fun to press buttons and whatever, but that was not a DMC game. And DMC 2 is the only reason it's even playable and that anybody might have a positive opinion on it was because Itsuno came in at the last minute and saved that game from basically being a complete dumpster fire. And then there are also people saying that the like old Madhouse DMC anime was like good, like unironically, which, I mean, I haven't watched it, but the things that I have heard about it is that, you know, in terms of like the characters and stuff, it's like, it's pretty good. You know, like the writing is okay, but like there's not a lot of action. In fact, there's like almost no action in the show. And the little bit of it that there is, it's not very good, which, you know, on one hand, if it was marketed as like a character driven, slower paced, story-driven anime, then, you know, that's fine, but it was literally an anime made for Devil May Cry. Probably, I would assume, after 3 had come out, so, you know, I mean, people were expecting something different from that. My point being is that just because this new thing is not good and it's bad does not mean that we can go back and be like, oh, this shitty thing that was old is now good. Like, no, those things are still bad and shitty. Anyways, that's my whole TED talk about the DMC anime. But yeah, spinning back to something positive really quick, I'm very excited for that DMC 3 Crimson mod to come out, I believe, again on the 23rd. I don't know if I'll be able to play. I would like to make a video on it at the very least, but I don't know if I'll be able to play it as soon as it comes out. We'll have to see. But yeah, that was Verdansk. I've been more inclined to play this version of Warzone than I have any other version in the past. Again, not that I'm a huge Warzone player, so don't expect too much of this, but yeah, it is nice to see that, you know, this overall season 3 update, you know, with zombies and, you know, Warzone and just the game generally overall is overall very positive, I would say. You know, there are still issues with it, you know, things here and there, but yeah, because for Warzone especially, this was like make or break for, you know, people giving a fuck about this game at all. But we'll see how the developers capitalize on this and see if they can ride this out for as long as they can. But anyways, if you did enjoy this video and want to help support the channel, then leaving a like and subscribing would be very much appreciated. Anyways, later.